The year 2023 is advancing very quickly, and we have had constant launches with new, super interesting hardware. Do you want to buy a new PC but don't know which is the best option for you? Would you like to get the most powerful computer possible with the budget you have? Well then, you are in the right video because today I will share with you different gaming PC configurations in pieces so that you can have the best possible PC tailored to you to obtain the maximum possible performance at the lowest price. I'll show you my recommendations. The best quality price gaming PCs of 2023. The ones I would buy for myself if I had about $600 to more than $2,000 to buy a new super powerful next-gen gaming PC. You will have all the links to the recommended prices in the description, and the components will be updated every day to take advantage of the best offers of the moment so that you have links to the best gaming PC possible at all times. This series with the best gaming PCs 2023 is done monthly, so check the channel to see if we have released a more recent compilation than this one. That way you can have the most up-to-date configurations perfectly explained in the same video. But hey, are you already subscribed to the channel? You are supporting the content a lot. Subscribe and leave your like to support the hours and hours of work that these videos take. You can follow us on other networks such as TikTok, Instagram, and above all, add our Amazon and PC Componenties affiliate links to your bookmarks. Let's start from the beginning. What is the best cheap gaming PC that is worth it in 2023? Well, this could be a super valid option. If you have a tight budget, I would build a Ryzen 5 5500, a 6-core, 12-thread processor that is not bad at all. Despite being a previous generation, it still has a super competitive price of less than $100 and has the benefit of having an AM4 socket that has both motherboards and super cheap RAM that are clearly better in quality price and more performance than DDR5 today. In this case, the motherboard would be an ASRock B550, intermediate chipset with 4 slots for RAM, a couple of them for graphics cards, space for an SSD M2. It also has quite a few USB connections on the back, so it is a super complete motherboard for this processor, and the entire configuration that we are going to set up gives you quite a few expansion options. And the truth is that you would not need to spend more money than what this one costs. In RAM, we will mount the standard basic configuration, which I always recommend 16 gigabytes of RAM in dual channel, something very important, and at 3200 megahertz. It is a RAM that today costs $40, and that for this price is the best option on the market. The heatsink chosen in this case would be this Thermaltake UX200 SE with ARGB, something super important as you know that it will give you many extra FPS, and above all, it will also give you very good temperatures for that processor. The box would be the Sama Z4, which is super good. It already includes 4 RGB fans. It has room for any configuration you want to set up. It's an ATX case, so it has room for most components on the market, but it's still quite compact for an ATX case, so it won't be taking up too much space on your desk either. The power supply would be this Thermaltake Tough Power GX2 with 80+ gold certification, a source with enough power to power this 8GB RX 6600, which in my opinion is the best graphics card in terms of quality and price for 1080p. And for $200, you can play most current games at 1080p in high quality and at many FPS. So the truth is that for this price, it is one of the best on the market. And finally, the SSD, which would be a 1TB NVM, an SSD that I highly recommend since it costs less than $50. And for that price, it has spectacular performance. In total, it would be a little above $600 PC that would actually be ideal for 144 Hz in 1080p. And the best thing is that you would have the option of having it already assembled in 2 or 3 days for an extra $45. So if you don't want to venture into assembling a PC, the truth is that it would be a good alternative for around $600, $650. It may also happen that you are a slightly more demanding user, and instead of playing at 1080p at 144 Hz, you also want to start experimenting with 1440p resolutions, or you want to play at 1080p. But at everything in Ultra and also at many FPS. So in that case, do you want to know which is the best mid-range gaming PC of 2023 in terms of quality and price? Well, you would have the PC budget of $900 that would fit an i5-12400F, Intel's flagship processor today in quality price 6 cores, 12 threads. It is the processor that I have in my personal PC, and the truth is that it is a real blast to play, to edit, to stream, for any task you can think of, and it has a super competitive price of about $160, even less if you get it on offer. So the truth is that it would be one of the best current processors for gaming. The motherboard would be a Maxsun Terminator B660 LGA 1700 of 12th generation. A motherboard also with an intermediate chipset, which is not bad at the price. We would have 4 RAM slots, plenty of expansion options, a rear part with plenty of connections, so it would be a motherboard that would be super good. Micro ATX format, so you could put micro ATX or ATX cases. In RAM, we would again maintain 16 gigabytes in dual channel, and at 3200 megahertz, the flagship configuration today, which the truth is that for the price it has is absolutely unbeatable. You can see the video that I leave above to compare how DDR4 and DDR5 perform. Today, and taking into account that DDR4 can cost you the complete motherboard configuration plus RAM about $100 less, unless you have a budget of $1,000. I believe that it is not worth making the jump to DDR5, since the extra performance that having DDR5 RAM would give you is not justified. With the price difference, you would be gaining more FPS if you make the jump on a graphics card, if you invest an extra $100 on a more powerful graphics card. The heatsink chosen in this case would be this Thermaltake UX200 SE with ARGB. The truth is that a heatsink is more than enough to dissipate the heat generated by this i5. The truth is that it is quite cool and it doesn't get too hot either. The box to change and give you another option could also be this Thermaltake Vive 150TG ARGB, a micro ATX box that brings you 3 pre-installed ARGB fans and is very cool. So for $78, it is still a highly recommended box in terms of quality and price. The power source would be this Cooler Master G700 with 700 watts, certified in 80+ gold. The truth is that it is a source that is quite well priced, and it is a source that could perfectly support this RX 6750 XT. A previous generation graph as well, but that performs a lot, and for less than $400, it is the best current graph on the market. Quality price to play at 1440p. The rivals of this graphics card could be an RTX 4060 Ti, for example, but that graphics card costs more, has worse memory, has only 8 gigabytes, which are also slower, and unless you want to activate ray tracing and want to use DLSS 3.5, what do those RTX 4000 give you access? I think this RX 6750 XT. Furthermore, with the new FSR 3, it could be a more interesting option for the vast majority of users. Finally, the hard drive, which would remain exactly the same because this NVM, the 1 terabyte, would be the best option today in terms of quality and price for less than $60. It gives you super fast speeds, practically instantaneous loading of Windows, the games and programs you have, and the price. I've also already told you that these SSDs are super interesting. But if what you are looking for is a top-of-the-range PC and you don't want to pay the extra price for the components, latest generation, I have the perfect solution for you. Go for a Ryzen 7 5800 AMD's most powerful graphics card in the previous generation, which costs less than $700 now and sweeps away any new graphics card under $1,000 in raw performance. The aforementioned processor would be mounted on a B550 board with the AM4 socket, the previous generation socket, which would only be compatible with DDR4 RAM. This would save us again more than $100 in the combination of motherboard and RAM. So in that sense, we would be saving some money, which would be quite good, since in performance, as I said, we would be gaining that extra from the graphic card. The motherboard is an intermediate chipset, a motherboard more than enough to support this processor and even experiment a little with overclocking if you are interested in that world. The RAM, we will mount 16 gigabytes in dual channel at 3200 megahertz. In this case, it could be an interesting option to mount 32 gigabytes of RAM, although in gaming it would not give you extra performance. You can see the difference between 16 and 32 gigabytes in DDR4 RAM in the video that I have left for you in the cards above, if you want to edit, stream, to do those types of tasks too. Well, in that case, I think that it would make more sense to install 32 gigabytes of RAM, taking into account that the extra price would be quite low, and for $80 or so, you could already have 32 gigabytes of RAM. On this PC, we will mount a real heatsink, the Cooler Master Hyper, dual tower with ARGB. To be honest, it is a very cool cooler and has more than enough power to dissipate the heat generated by that 7 and even experience a bit with overclocking. The box would be the Corsair ICW 4000X, 3 RGB fans already included. A super good airflow thanks to that slightly open front, and with that heatsink that we are mounting the temperatures on this PC, the truth is that they would be super good. You have isolated space for the supply, power, a double bottom to hide all the cables, and you have more than enough space for all the PC components that in the end are quite bulky. You have a super large heatsink, a very high-end graphics card that also takes up a lot of space and is also obviously super powerful and gets quite hot. So having this box next to this heatsink would be a very good solution. The power supply would be this Corsair RM750E, which has 750 watts of certified power, 80 plus gold, and is also completely modular, so you could remove and replace all the cables, and it would be more than enough to power this 16GB RX 6950 XT, a graphics card that costs less than $700, and for this price, it performs like crazy. It is a graphics card with which, as soon as you activate the FSR3, which is already leaking and is about to be released, you could even experiment with 4K, so it would be a super powerful graphics card, a PC that in total would be around $1,500. But it would have a processor and a graphics card that, despite being from a previous generation, compete with the newest of today, costing considerably less money. So I'm telling you that it is a fantastic solution and a high-end quality price gaming PC, which is super good. We would not change the hard drive since it is a 1 terabyte. It is the cheapest NVMe Gen 4, but with the best quality price ratio today, since with speeds already higher than 2000 megabits per second, the extra performance it would give you, mounting a super fast, latest generation NVMe SSD wouldn't be too noticeable either. So with this, we have covered all the configurations that I had written down for today's video. Remember that all the links to these configurations are in the description. And if you want another quote for next month's video, don't forget to leave your comment so we can include it. For the rest, I hope you liked this video and it was useful. Remember to share it with someone who may need it as much as you, and leave your like and subscribe if you want more content of this style. We'll see you next time.